Hello and welcome to my review of the Warhammer 40,000 Conquest magazine issue 60. As always, each magazine will set you back £7.99 and usually contains paints, brushes or miniatures or scenery. Now this particular issue is great. It includes 10 Poxwalkers. You can only get Poxwalkers in the easy to build flavour, which are totally different to these, and you can only get 6 of them for £10. So right here we're getting 10 and they're all unique, they're all different for less money. And on top of that you're getting a Death Guard Plague Marine, which is a brilliant model as well, to go with the other Plague Marines that we've collected so far in the series. Now looking forward at issue 63, unfortunately or fortunately it includes another 10 Poxwalkers which are exactly the same as these, so you will get twins, but you also get a different Plague Marine, which is quite nice. There's still a fair bit of savings to be had with the models for this issue, so I still would recommend picking it up if you don't already have the Poxwalkers. And even if you do have those easy to build Poxwalkers, it's still great to increase your collection with these because they'll all look different. We'll have a look at the models in a moment, but I always like to look at the issue itself, even though in the first look I've already gone through it. It starts off with the forces of Chaos, Chaos Knights, and gives you a showcase of the new Chaos Knights that came out last year in the middle of July. So you've got 2 knights. Technically that's like a gallant anyway, but they call it a rampager, and then this one here is a desecrator with an amazing laser destructor weapon. Anyway, nice little showcase of all of the I say new knights. They've used some of the upgrades and things to modify the knights and put some different icons and things on them. But there's only so far you can take an Imperial Knight kit. I would have preferred to see more spikes, different armor plates, faces in the armor plates, and all kinds of things. And this is quite convenient because I've literally just done a review of the full range of Imperial Knights, and I think I said in that review that I had wished Games Workshop had created a new sprue or a new box set of upgrades for kit bashing purposes for the Imperial Knights, rather than create, you know, a brand new Chaos Knight. In addition to creating that brand new Chaos Knight box set, I would have preferred that they also supplemented the Imperial Knights to really chaosify them. Anyway, moving on, a little bit of a glorious history, and then how to build the Death Guard reinforcements. Super easy to build them. Although they're not pushed to fit, they're very straightforward and easy to put together. They are all monopose. Most of them only have 1 or 2 parts to glue together, and then they go straight in and painting them. Again, I would use Games Workshop's own Warhammer TV painting video to paint them. It's much easier and it gives you an excellent result. They use a lot of flesh shades and things, but you can follow this guide as well. It's just you're going to be left with Poxwalkers with this sort of green skin, which in my opinion just doesn't work as well. Although the Plague Marines, it works well with them, but they do look a bit clean looking compared to my own Death Guard, which I don't have on me right now, but anyway. Then there is a Rules Mission 44, a nice picture there of Games Workshop painted miniatures, and a parting blow, and a little look at the next 2 issues, which include the Imperial Objectives and a Galvanic Servo Haulers 2. So scenery and, yeah, kind of scenery for the next 2 issues. I'd much rather have miniatures than scenery, but there we go. I will be doing first look and review next week of the Imperial Objectives, and then I'll be doing first look and review of the Galvanic Servo Haulers the week after. So that's issue 60. It's an alright issue. It's a nice little look at a showcase of the Chaos Knights, but no doubt we've already had an in-depth look at the Poxwalkers at, you know, the very start of the collection, if memory recalls. Anyway, let's have a look at these miniatures individually. Then we will do some size comparisons, and then finally in the review I'll go through their rules, both the rules for the Poxwalkers and for the Plague Marines. So the Poxwalkers themselves, they're all unique and individual. If I just zoom in closer to give you a better look. So you've got this one here, which is kind of like a rusted, dirty blade and a couple of arms, potted skin, boils and pus and spots all over the place. This one He's got some tentacles and horns. Reminds me of a glitchling in a way, or a blightling, in that he's actually got some bionics or mechanical arm there, joined into the body, with some intestines and tentacles writhing about there in his belly. He's still got his little pouches that have survived, and his foot has just turned into a tentacle. And then some of them have more makeshift weapons, like this. It looks like a pipe, like some kind of tubing, but with like a little bit of a flamer with spikes on the tip. And himself, he's actually grown a few spikes and fur and things. Got this one here, another one with like a makeshift plague knife, and even someone's hammered in nails into one of his bony outgrowths there. Maybe he's pushing away a door. That would be good for a little diorama. This guy has found a hammer. He thinks every problem is a nail, and he's ready to solve some problems. Got a gas mask flaming about in the wind. Again, more bony growths and tentacles and feet that have burst out of boots. You've got this particular creature with this very nice grin. Remember, although they look grotesque and deformed and horrific, they're actually in ecstasy. That's one of these gifts that Nurgle bestow upon his subjects, in that these are all gifts, and they're happy to receive them. They feel rejoiced about being reborn and made into this new kind of form. This one has some kind of bolt action rifle thing, or energy rifle, with a bayonet. This one here has what looks like a canister, some kind of flammable canister with a Swiss knife, because it's got the little holes in it. You've got this one here, classic Potswalker kind of pose. You've got this wrench with a spike attached to it. Again, loads of boils and pitted skin. Then you've got this doctor kind of leader, I want to call it. It's the only one with like a lab coat on, I guess, and with a big sort of power hammer thing, with rips and holes and maggots and things all covering his clothing. And then finally we've got this one here. Again, he's holding the gun a different way. He's attached the blade to the stock of the weapon, and he's got a lot of bony outgrowths too. And then last but not least, the Plague Marine himself. I've actually modified this one. The other Plague Marine is in grey plastic. I'm not quite sure why, because both of them come from the Dark Imperium set, but what I've done is I've just swapped the plasma gun with a bolt gun, just because I've already got this model with the plasma gun, and I wanted to kind of mix and match it and have him with the bolt gun. Still looks pretty cool. Got this amazing plague knife, bloated armor. I love the Cyclops eye lens with this horn and the horrible spiky teeth in there. It's a great model to paint and to show a lot of detail. I'd love to show you my painted version, but I just can't find him at the moment. But anyway, that's the one Plague Marine you get in the box set. Okay, let's do a few sizing comparisons then. So compared to other models in the set, our other brethren, you've got Typhus here, which is quite a huge model when you think about it. Cataphracti, Terminator armor, towers above all of these miniatures, including the normal Plague Marines. Then you've got a Myphitic Blight Hauler, again quite a large model. Towers over the Plague Marines. Just gives you an idea of just how small these are. They're a little bit like Space Marine size, and here's the other size comparison I want to make. These Potswalkers are almost the same size. They are bloated, elongated, whatever. Pick your reasons why they are almost as tall as a Space Marine, other than Games Workshop have always made Space Marines too small. And then here's the Primaris, which, yeah, definitely towers above them all. It's on that bigger base. And yeah, he's a good couple of feet taller than them. So if you're showcasing your models and you're pitting Primaris against Potswalkers and Plague Marines, then they are definitely going to stand out. And you know, show a lot of presence. But if you're pitting them all against Space Marines, normal Space Marines, then yeah, the Space Marines are going to look a little bit odd. Okay, and that's all the size comparisons I wanted to make with the Poxwalkers and the Plague Marine. Unfortunately, you don't get the rules for the Poxwalkers and the Plague Marine in issue 60. So I will be taking their rules from the Death Guard Codex, which came out a few years ago now. It's still a fantastic codex and one of my favourites. Death Guard are lucky in the fact that they've got quite a few choices for troops. Unlike Sisters of Battle, who only have one choice, Death Guard actually have 5 very different choices for troops. So we'll start off with the Poxwalkers in that group. They are a power points cost of a 3 and a points cost of 6 per model. Their movement is only 4 inches, their weapon skill is 5+, ballistic skill 6+, strength 3, toughness 3, 1 wound, 2 attacks, leadership 4 and a save of 7+. Yeah, they are pretty bad individually. Their only saving grace, and it's not really a saving grace, is that they have 2 attacks each. They move really slow, one of the slowest units. They're as slow as Typhus or a Lord of Contagion or the Blight Lord Terminators or Death Shroud Terminators, so they are the slowest moving unit in the army. The unit contains 10 Poxwalkers. It can include up to 10 additional Poxwalkers at a power rating of +3, and each model is armed with an improvised weapon. So you can have 20 in a unit, and I'd strongly advise you to do that. It's great that you get another 10 in issue 63, I think I said, because then you can have that big, massive bodies. The improvised weapon is a strength of the user, which is only 3, AP is 0 and damage 1, so that's very pitiful weapon. Abilities, disgustingly resilient, which, just to refresh your memory, means that each time a model with this ability loses a wound, you roll a dice, and on a 5+, the model does not lose that wound. Now, the next 3 abilities are the main reason why you'd pick this quite poor unit. Curse of the Walking Pox. Each time an enemy infantry model is slain by a Poxwalker in the fight phase, add 1 model to the Poxwalker's unit. That's lovely. So even if you're not able to shuffle 20 of them to an enemy unit, and you get there with like 12 or 13, if you manage to slay any of them, you add another Poxwalker to your unit. Quite nice. Mindless. This unit never has to take morale tests. That's fantastic, because their leadership is normally 4. Well, doesn't matter anymore. Diseased Horde. You can add 1 to all hit rolls for this unit in the fight phase if it contains more than 10 models. Again, that's pretty good, even though their strength and their actual attacks aren't that good. If you've got 20 of them, you manage to get 20 of them in combat, that's a whopping 60 attacks there. It may cause a lot of damage. Keywords: Chaos, Nurgle, Heretic Astartes, Death Guard, Infantry and Poxwalkers. So, an alright little unit. They're quite cheap. You can have 10 of them for 60 points, which is hardly anything. So they're a very cheap unit to go for. Not as cheap as Nurglings though, which would set you back 54 points, but I think they are marginally better. Okay, so that's the Poxwalkers. Let's talk about the main troop choice, these Plague Marines, of which you can see one there. I'll only have an overview of Plague Marines rules, but a Plague Marine unit is a power points cost of a 7, ironically, and a points cost of 19 per model. That's quite pricey in the grand scheme of things. The movement speed is 5 inches, weapon skill and ballistic skill both 3+, strength 4, toughness 5, 1 wound, 1 attack, leadership 7 and a save of 3+. The champion, if you were to pick a champion, has the same stat line, but of course 2 attacks and a leadership of 8. Unit contains 1 Plague Marine champion and 4 Plague Marines. It can include up to an additional 2 Plague Marines, up to 5 additional Plague Marines, up to 10 additional Plague Marines, or up to 15 additional Plague Marines, so you can have 20 in a squad. Each model is armed with a plague knife, a bolt gun, blight grenades and crack grenades. They have a plethora of weapons, but essentially they're mainly armed with plague knives and bolt guns. Bolt guns work as usual, but it's the plague knife that has some specific rules, and I'll just go through that. It's a strength of the user, which would be 4. It's AP 0, damage of 1, but it does count as a plague weapon. And just to refresh your memory, a plague weapon can re-roll wound rolls of 1 for a weapon with this ability. So if you get any 1s on the wound, you can just re-roll it. You've got a number of different ranged and melee weapons you can equip them with, and especially for the champion too. Their abilities, they have Death to the False Emperor and Disgustingly Resilient, so they've basically got that Feel No Pain on a 5+. They can have an Icon of Despair, and a Plague Marine that's armed with 2 Plague Knives, has an ability called Vectors of Death and Disease, has attack characteristic of 2 instead of 1. Keywords is Chaos, Nurgle, Heretic Astartes, Death Guard, Infantry and Plague Marines. The main thing that sets the Plague Marines apart from other Space Marines is their toughness 5 and they're disgustingly resilient. They are a bit slower, but they have the same stats as a normal Space Marine, but just can ignore wounds on a 5+, and they're harder to bring down because of that toughness 5, and the points reflect that. And that's all I wanted to say about issue 60 of the Warhammer 40,000 Conquest magazine. We've only got 20 more issues to go. We are 3/4 of the way through the entire collection, or 75% complete. It's been a long journey, but there are still some juicy models left to go through and do reviews of. So I hope you'll join me for the rest of them. What do you guys think of the models and the rules? Please do put it in the comments below. It'd be great to hear from you. Thank you ever so much for joining me today. Thank you for watching. The Emperor protects.